It was a beautiful, sunny day, so my husband and I decided to take Tomas out to explore nature. Though my partner wasn't Tomas's biological father, he loved him as his own. They spent most of their time together, something I cherished, since to the outside world, he was Tomas's father in every way. Our little boy was thrilled at the idea of being in the woods, and I was happy to see him so excited. I remember it like it was yesterday. The forest floor was covered in dry leaves and twigs that crunched underfoot. The air smelled fresh and clean, tinged with pine, revitalizing and pure. The deeper we ventured, the taller the trees grew, their branches stretching skyward, weaving a canopy of green that filtered the sunlight. Shafts of light pierced through, casting dancing shadows on the ground. It was magical. Who would have thought that by nightfall, the same place would feel like hell? The forest was alive. Birds chirped from the branches, insects buzzed, and squirrels darted between the trees. At its heart, a small crystal-clear stream flowed gently, its banks lined with soft, worn moss, though the air there carried an unpleasant odor, one that made it impossible to stay for long. We wandered together, Tomas mesmerized by the beauty around him. But at some point, he strayed too far and vanished from sight. We searched everywhere, calling his name, but there was no trace of him. My son was only 4 years old. I couldn't believe this was happening. We had to find him, but we didn't even know what had happened. Terror and desperation gripped me. My mind raced with every horrible possibility. We searched for hours, but found nothing. As dusk fell, we alerted the authorities. I remember perfectly, Tomas had been wearing a blue shirt, denim pants, and white sneakers, the same description we gave the police. The search continued for days, but there was no sign of our beloved Tomas. It was as if the woods had swallowed him whole. No clues, no traces, just silence. With each passing day, I grew more desperate, more traumatized. I couldn't stop thinking about him, about what might have happened in that dangerous place. Every month, I returned to the woods, searching for any hint, but it was all in vain. A mother's love is relentless. I refused to give up. Then, one day, after so long, I stumbled upon a hidden cabin deep in the woods. An elderly woman lived there. I rushed to ask if she'd seen Tomas. I was even willing to offer a reward for help. Something in my gut told me he was still alive. Lost somewhere in that mysterious place. The woman told me authorities often patrolled the area. There were also rumors of a child seen with a mysterious man in the woods, a child whose description matched Tomas's. Hope flickered inside me. Maybe he was still alive. I asked her about the man. Had she seen him? Did she know anything? A new search party was organized, scouring the woods for clues. But despite their efforts, nothing concrete turned up. News of the sighting spread. Adventurers and explorers joined the search, but none found anything significant. Then, the old woman began to speak. She told me a legend. Years ago, a solitary, mysterious man had lived in these woods. He'd been banished from his village for his strange behavior and unnatural appearance. Some said he wasn't human, that he possessed supernatural abilities. At first, people feared him. But over time, a few dared to approach. Still, the man kept his distance, rarely speaking. Then, one night, he vanished without a trace. Some believed he'd died, or been killed. Others thought he'd simply returned to wherever he came from. Since then, those who ventured into the woods claimed to see him, watching from between the trees, always just out of reach. No one ever got close enough to learn the truth. Was he human? Or something else? When I asked where he'd gone, the woman repeated, "He disappeared." Some say he died. Others say he left. But she insisted that even now, people saw him, lingering in the shadows, watching. My blood ran cold. The worst possible thought seized me. What if my son had met this thing? Guilt and terror crushed me. I'd failed to protect him. I acted immediately. I contacted the authorities, digging into the man's past. After countless calls, I uncovered the truth. Years ago, He'd been arrested multiple times. His record was a nightmare: kidnappings, assaults, unspeakable crimes. Worse, he was a master of deception, adopting false identities, as if he had no true self. Locals who'd known him whispered that he'd gone mad after losing his own son. Some claimed he'd taken his life, his ghost now haunting the woods, stealing children in a twisted search for replacement. Others insisted he'd never died, that his death had been staged to close the case. Either way, this reignited my hope and my dread. What if this monster had Tomas? My husband begged me to let it go. The obsession was consuming me, changing me into someone my friends and family no longer recognized. But I couldn't stop. I used all my savings to buy a cabin near the woods, determined to search deeper. My marriage crumbled, but I didn't care. I packed my bags and left, clinging to the hope of finding Tomas alive. The search was grueling. Then, one day, I found a cave in an unexplored part of the forest. Inside, I spotted familiar items: Tomas's blue shirt, the one he'd loved, the one he'd worn the day he vanished. My heart pounded. After all this time, proof. I ventured deeper, finding a notebook. Tomas couldn't write yet, but he could draw. The sketches inside told the horrifying truth: that a mysterious man, who'd taken my son, was my own husband. He'd kidnapped Tomas, kept him hidden in that cave for months. He'd orchestrated the entire disappearance, living a double life as a grieving stepfather while hiding his monstrous secret. I couldn't process it. Was Tomas still alive? The questions overwhelmed me. My vision blurred, then darkness. I woke up tied to a chair inside the cave. My husband, no, the stranger, stood over me. The man I'd loved was gone. In his place was a hollow-eyed monster. I begged him to tell me where Tomas was. He refused. "You'll never understand," he hissed. "I did it for love. For my son. I couldn't let them take him." His words made no sense. What kind of love was this? Somehow, I broke free and ran. The police launched a manhunt. Weeks later, they caught him. Under interrogation, he claimed ignorance, but the authorities pressed harder. Eventually, he confessed he'd killed Tomas. The details were too horrific to repeat. My world shattered. I wanted to die. Then, one day, the old woman called again. She'd seen a boy matching Tomas's description, playing in the woods. Heart racing, I rushed back. I searched where she'd seen him, but found nothing. Then, deeper in the forest, I felt a presence. I turned, and saw a blurry silhouette of a child. I called Tomas's name, but the figure just stared. A coldness crept over me. The air grew heavy. Then, the shape vanished, replaced by thick fog. That's when I understood, the boy wasn't alive. He was Tomas's ghost, trapped in the woods where his body had been taken from him. I fell to my knees, sobbing. I spoke to the wind, knowing spirits listened through it. "My son, I know you're gone. But you'll always be in my heart. Forgive me. I should have saved you." If I could turn back time, in time, I learned to live with the pain. I told myself his soul was at peace, that he was with me in spirit. I honored his memory, grateful for the time we'd had. Every winter, I returned to those woods. The locals still whisper about a boy who looks like Tomas, playing, running, crying at night. They say his face is scarred, his eyes full of rage. The last time I went, I heard a heart-wrenching sob. I followed it and saw him, my son's ghost, perched on a rock, face bloodied, eyes hollow. His cries echoed with unbearable pain. That night, I vowed never to return. But I still think of Tomas every day. I can't bring him back, but I can remember him. And though I'll never know if his spirit found peace, I hope, someday, he'll rest.